Welcome. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're not just going to talk about a new technology. We're going to learn how to talk to it, to understand a new kind of mind. This is your guide to that new conversation.
You know, for the longest time, we just gave machines orders, simple commands. But that whole way of thinking, it's changing. We're moving beyond that, learning to actually engage, to collaborate, and to co-create with a new kind of communication partner.
So, here's our roadmap. First, we'll explore this new kind of conversation. Then, we'll meet the AI mind itself. After that, we'll see how these machines listen. And finally, we'll learn how to tune its creative voice.
Okay, so first up, a new conversation. And this is the core idea for everything we'll cover today. We are fundamentally shifting from just giving instructions to having a real interaction. It's not about ordering a tool around anymore. It's about starting a dialogue with a collaborator that can actually build on our ideas. But you know, to have a good conversation, you need to know who or what you're talking to, right? So let's peel back the curtain and meet the mind of the machine.
At the very heart of this new mind is something called a large language model, or an LLM. At its core, an LLM is a ridiculously sophisticated prediction engine. Its whole purpose, its one true job, is to look at a bunch of words and then predict, with uncanny accuracy, what the very next word should be.
So what makes it large? Well, it's really two things. On one hand, you have massive data. We're talking about training on a huge chunk of the internet, all those books, articles, and websites. And on the other hand, you have these vast parameters. You can almost picture them as billions, literally billions, of tiny internal knobs and dials that the model tunes to capture all the subtle patterns of human language.
So how do we wrap our heads around this? Let's try two analogies. First, you can think of it as the ultimate autocomplete, kind of like what's on your phone, but just on a completely different, almost cosmic scale. Or, and this is my favorite way to think about it, picture a master jazz musician. It's not just playing notes, it's listening to the melody of the conversation and improvising the perfect next note or word that just fits.
All right, so we've met the mind, but now, how does it hear us? How does a machine that only gets numbers start to understand our words? This next part is like the first handshake, the bridge between our world of language and its world of logic.
I mean, really think about this for a second. We give it poetry, complex questions, simple commands, but under the hood, all it can ever really see are numbers. So how on earth does that translation happen?
The answer is a really clever process called tokenization. So let's imagine you type in the word LLMs. What the machine does first is slice it up. It breaks it down into these smaller units, these glowing shards called tokens. You can almost see them, L, M, S. And then each one of those individual tokens gets a unique number assigned to it. And just like that, that's the moment our language enters its world. That's how it hears us.
Okay, so now we know how the machine listens. The next logical step, right, is figuring out how we can shape what it says back. How can we actually tune its voice, control its personality, its style, and even its creativity?
Well, one of the most powerful ways we can do this is with a setting called temperature. The best way to think about this is like a creative dial. It lets you control the level of randomness in the AI's response, letting you slide between something totally predictable and something wonderfully creative.
And this is where it gets really interesting, because it's a trade-off. If you turn the temperature dial way down, the AI plays it super safe. It's only going to choose the most likely, most predictable words. And that's fantastic for things like summaries or getting a straight factual answer. But if you turn that temperature dial up, well, now it becomes a daring, creative partner. It starts considering less common words, taking risks, and that's perfect for brainstorming. Let's make this real. Here's a prompt. The first person on the moon was... With the temperature set low, you get exactly what you'd expect. The first person on the moon was Neil Armstrong. Direct, factual, correct. No surprises.
But now, watch what happens. We use the exact same prompt, but this time we crank the temperature dial way up. And the output is something else entirely. A visionary, a pioneer whose boots crunched on ancient dust. See? It's not just an answer anymore. It's an idea. It's evocative. We didn't change our words at all. We just changed the personality of our partner in this conversation.
And really, that's what this all comes down to. Understanding this new mind is the absolute first step to mastering the partnership. We're moving past an era where we were just users of a tool. Now, we're becoming collaborators in creation. The question isn't just what can this machine do for me anymore? The real question is, what can we create together?